Hello there. Today, we will be looking at AQA GCSE English Language Paper 1. This paper has two sections, Section A and Section B. We will be revising these today. Both of these sections each have 40 marks. Each section is worth 50% of Paper 1 and 25% of your final grade. Meaning that in total, these two sections are worth 50% of your final grade. As they make up 80 marks out of the 160 marks your papers will be out of. So paper 2 is also out of 80 marks. Section A has 4 questions, which are questions 1 to 4. Section B has 1 question, which is question 5. We will be looking at these in more detail. In total, you will have 1 hour and 45 minutes to complete this paper. This might not seem like enough time at first, but don't worry, with enough practice, you'll get the hang of this, and you'll be able to do these questions really, really easily. I will be telling you my recommended timings for each question, reading and understanding the extract, and for the creative writing. Let's go. So, Section A tests your comprehension skills, you can say. It tests how well you can understand the writer's meaning behind the text. So, you will have to read an extract and you will answer 4 questions on it, because as I said before, this has 4 questions. It says on the front of the test that you will be given that you should spend around 15 minutes to read the source. You should aim to spend around 1 hour on this section. Let's see how you will divide up your time. Question 1 is a very easy multiple choice question. It shouldn't take you too long, maximum 4 minutes. Most likely, you'll finish it in 1 or 2 minutes, and you can use that extra time in other questions. It will ask you about AO1, Assessment Objective 1. Identify and interpret explicit and implicit information and ideas. So, you need to identify really clear information and select the truthful answers. Don't think too deeply about it. It is not some complex thing. It will be very clear. Please remember that this paper has to be accessible to the whole country, and therefore they will not pick questions that are too hard. It will ask you about a specific section. All right, I cannot stress this fact. It might give you something that isn't in that section and you might mark it as true, but that would be wrong. It has to be in a specific section. So to make sure you get it right, make sure you box it or highlight the area it is asking you about. You need to make sure you are precise. Don't think. Next up, we have question 2. Question 2, I don't think many children find this too hard either. This one assesses AO2. Explain and comment and analyze how writers use language and structure to achieve effects and influence readers using relevant subject terminology to support their views. So this question will ask you about language. Do not write about structure. Once again, this is about a specific section, so make sure you box the section that you are going to write about, because if you write from outside of that section, you will be limited in the amount of marks you can get. I have a video on my channel about language techniques. Be sure to check it out so you can revise those language techniques. So make sure you use a variety of quotes and use a variety of techniques. Don't use the same technique every time. If you use a simile all the time, yay, the examiner knows you know similes, but they don't know if you know anything else. What is within that simile? A noun? A violent verb? Sibilants? You need to make sure you add complexity. Now, I would recommend you write 2 paragraphs for this, and you spend roughly maybe 1 or 2 minutes planning and 4 minutes to write each paragraph. So in total, I think you should spend 10 minutes. This question is worth 8 marks, so if you go by like the mark per minute sort of thing, then you would be fine. So maybe 8 to 10 minutes, 10 minutes maximum. Now, once you have reached your time, so keep an eye on the clock during the exam. Once you've reached the time, move on to the next question, even if you haven't finished. That way, you can come back to it later and get more marks. Whatever you're going to write is probably not going to give you as much marks as you can get by doing the next question. So, yeah, that's it for question 2. Make sure you plan, all right? A plan will give you a structure. You will know what to write, and it will be so much better and easier for you than if you went straight in with no plan. Make sure you also keep the question in focus. Don't divert from your main point. Use the words of the question. WOQ, words of question. That will always help you and make sure that you stay on track and you don't fill up your answer with a load of waffle. Let's look at question 3 now. So, question 3 is something that most people find kind of difficult. Honestly, I can understand why. This question asks you about structure. It's the same as question 2. It's still AO2, but this one asks you about structure. Make sure you don't talk about language, all right? So don't talk about similes, don't talk about metaphors. You're not getting any marks for that, love. I have a video on structural techniques as well. Don't worry, once you know what to look for, they're really easy to find. This one's also 8 marks. For this one, I'd recommend you write 3 paragraphs. So have a beginning paragraph. What does the writer focus on in the beginning? What's their tone in the beginning? Middle paragraph, same thing. Focus, tone. Has it reached a climax, or is it starting to drop in tension, etc.? And then you want focus, tone, etc. So beginning, middle, and end paragraph. Roughly 10 minutes again, so maybe 1 to 2 minutes planning, and then 8 minutes to write. This question asks you about the whole text, so you don't need to worry about boxing a specific section. Now, what I like to do, if this is my text, sorry, I like to divide it up. Okay, so this is my beginning, so I'm going to write about this in my first paragraph. This is my middle, so I'm going to write about this in my second paragraph, and this is my end, so I'm going to write about this in my third paragraph. That really helps me to do it, and I feel like you guys could try that out as well. However, if your teacher has done something different or told you to do something different, don't try and change tactic last minute, all right? It's probably not going to work out unless you've had a lot of practice. And that's another point. Make sure you practice English language. Some people might think, oh, we'll just show up and it'll be fine. It's just language. No, it's not. Make sure you practice. That's the best way to do English language. Save My Exams is a great option, by the way. Also, another structure I like is what, how, why. So this helps you find and make sure you do your effect on the reader. So what has the writer done? What technique have they used? Have they used a cyclical structure, for example? How have they done this? So what have they focused on? How is this cyclical structure present? And why have they done it? Why are they focusing on reverting back to it? Is it to create suspense? Is it to create tension, etc., etc.? All right, question 3, not that hard as well. It might be a bit of a struggle at first, but in the end, it's okay, guys. It's all good. Let's move on to question 4. So, question 4, this one could be a bit more tricky. In this question, you're asked to evaluate a statement. So basically, you will be given, someone says a statement, and you will be asked to what extent do you agree or disagree. So this, again, focuses on a specific section of the text, so make sure you box it. You don't want to be losing marks just because you wrote about the beginning and it was asking from line 16 onwards. This one is testing your AO4 skills. So to evaluate text critically and support it with appropriate textual references, you can use both language and structural techniques. Now remember, this is 20 marks, so I would advise you spend around 25 minutes. You'll probably end up spending less, but maximum 25. Remember, finish your time, move on to the next question. First off, make sure you have a intro. The intro doesn't have to be that long. It can be 1 to 2 sentences. Don't worry about it. You're probably not going to get any extra marks for it. If you want, do the intro at the end. So if you have time, put a little asterisk in and write it in. So here you go. This is my thing. This is my answer. I've written all of this down. Then I want to add an introduction here. Put an asterisk in. Put an asterisk in. Write down your answer at the bottom. Make sure it's clear to the examiner. You don't want to lose marks because the examiner cannot read what you're trying to say. Okay, now here I'd say you write 3 to 4 paragraphs because this is 20 marks. So you would want to be writing more than twice as much as your other one. Now for this one, I'd say you spend, okay, sorry, make sure you cover all of that because I wrote paragraphs wrong. For this one, you'd want to write 3 to 4 paragraphs, I'd say, because this is worth more than twice of your question 2 and your question 3. So you need to write more than twice of that. So you would be writing 3 to 4 paragraphs. I don't know what structures your teachers have taught you, but here are some popular ones. So there's PO. I think this is a really typical standard sort of thing. There's what, how, why. I really love this one. I definitely use it a lot. And then there's also petal. So this is point, evidence, technique, analysis, link. So I tend to use like a mixture of these two. Peel is like, I guess it's okay. I don't know. This is like the base for all of your paragraphs, but yeah, it's okay. And then also, if you do have time, okay, write a conclusion. Now, please remember, this is the cake, all right? This is just icing. Okay, I'm not interested in the icing. Icing's nice, but in the end, I want the cake. So focus on making the cake the best it can be before you write your icing, which is your introduction and conclusion. I don't know if that analogy made that much sense, but yeah, make sure you do that. Now, this question, you can agree, you can disagree, you can completely agree, you can partially disagree. Make sure you also add counter arguments. to this? So why might your opinion be differed to? So maybe consider why someone else would disagree with what you say. And also, you can break down the statement. So the statements tend to be quite long. Break them down. Maybe spend one paragraph on talking about one part of the statement, the second paragraph is talking about the second part of the statement, etc., etc. All right? Okay, question 4. Looks really terrifying, can't lie. Don't worry, it is not. Take a deep breath and you'll be fine. Okay, guys, that's section A finished. So essentially, after you've done all of that, you would have, give or take, 40 minutes to 45 minutes to complete section B. So you're aiming to spend around 1 hour in section A, 40 to 45 minutes section B. All right, so remember, section B is just one question, and that question is question 5. So you need to make sure that's good because that question 5 is worth 40 marks. So let's go through it. Okay, right, question 5. Now, question 5, babes, is creative writing, all right? You've been doing that. You've been doing that since, I don't know, what, reception? We have been doing that. You can do it now, all right? Now, you will be given 2 prompts. You will either be given a narrative prompt or a descriptive prompt. If I were you, I'd choose a descriptive prompt because guess what, love? You need to include description regardless of which prompt you choose because you're not going to get extra marks for having the best narrative out there. You can choose the narrative one, but you're going to have to include description and a plot, so it's more things to balance out. You will need structural and language techniques in both of them. They both have the same mark scheme. AO5, which is content and organization, 24 marks, and AO6, technical accuracy, which is 16 marks. Okay, they're both marked the same. So in the narrative, you actually need to think about more things because you need to have a plot on top of the description. However, if you find that narrative's better for you, then go ahead and do it. I'm not trying to put you off. I'm just saying, make sure you include the description and techniques. Now, in techniques, it's not just language. We can all do language. You need to include structural as well, all right? So make sure you have your cyclical structure, you have your repetition, you have all of those structural techniques because those are key techniques to move you up the mark scheme. Also, make sure you use varied punctuation, all right? Use your semicolons, exclamation marks. Now, make sure don't use more than one exclamation mark at a time, okay? This is a big no-no, all right? You have to use one. One is okay. Now, all right, you know what you should do to make sure you vary your punctuation? Make sure per paragraph you don't have more than 3 full stops, all right? If you set that as a goal for yourself, you will have varied punctuation, and then that's just easy marks for you. Also, at the end of your creative writing, make sure you leave yourself at least, if not more than this, 3 minutes to go back, look over your work, and check it. You might be one of the best spellers in your class, but you're an exam brain right now. You might have missed one of your T's, you might have forgot to dot one of your I's, and that happens to everyone. Alright, everyone's exam brain goes a bit fuzzy. That's why you need to make sure you give yourself at least 3 minutes to check your spellings, your punctuation, your grammar. Is it all okay? Alright? And that's it for question 5. So that's the end of this video, loves. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see you again soon. Please remember this is just a guide and this is how I think you should do it. You don't have to follow it. Make sure you do what your teachers tell you to. There's no point trying to learn a new method 5 minutes before your exam, alright? Stick to what you know and just try and improve it. And remember, practice, practice, practice. Okay? Alright then. See you again soon. Can't wait. Ta-ta, bye-bye. That's why you need to make